Hey girlfriends, Breia here. It is late on a Sunday evening. I did not do the live yesterday. I had a guest scheduled for yesterday and she canceled and I wasn't able to find another one and I was actually going to do the live myself and I ended up sick and throwing up all day. So that was my weekend. Hopefully you guys had a much better weekend than mine. I feel a lot better today. I'm still a little weak and still feel a little tired, but I just ate some soup and this is first thing I ate since I was sick and I feel a lot better. So anyway, I went on a huge uh process of decluttering my house back in June and I made a lot of progress. It took me like a month time to kind of go through everything. I got rid of clothes. I got rid of a lot of just unused things. And then my father had actually died unexpectedly a couple years ago, and I was his only child. And he left me his co-op, so I kind of moved in his co-op on top of all his stuff with all of my stuff. And I went through some of his stuff when he died, but not all of it. Like I was just storing stuff away in closets so I could deal with it later. So then I had to go through all of that stuff. A year after he died, my grandfather died, who I was very close to also. And then I had moved in his stuff on, not all of it, but just some of his things on top of my things that were already on top of my dad's things. So it was just completely out of hand. And I realized a lot of the reason why I was kind of avoiding doing it. I thought it was just going to be this huge task I didn't feel like doing. But what it was like a very emotional task to go through. So this summer, I kind of did that. I went through all of their things and I kept, of course, a few things, but I got rid of a lot. And it was very emotional. I cried like a lot because it's still grieving, even 3 years later for my grandfather, almost four for my dad. So a lot of it was emotional for me. But then some of it was just a lot of my crap that I really needed to get rid of, like tons of clothes that I can't fit anymore. I had gained a lot of weight. And I kept saying, well, I'm going to lose the weight, so I want to hold on to my clothes. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just get rid of everything because when I do lose all the weight, I want to buy a whole new wardrobe. So I got rid of a ton of clothes. Then I have this thing where I guess I collect bath and beauty products. And it's funny because I make a lot of my own bath and beauty products, but apparently I still had tons of bottles like of lotions and soaps and body sprays and all kinds of stuff. Nail polish, makeup. I don't even wear makeup a whole lot to justify the amount that I had. It was insane. So I did do a ton of decluttering this summer. I still have a long way to go. Like my house was like clean and clear this summer. Now it's starting to look a little more cluttered again, and I haven't really brought anything in. But they say kind of the reflection is your home is kind of a reflection of what's going on in your mind. And my mind has been very cluttered for the past month because I just have had a lot of things going on. So I'm working on clearing all of that out yet again. But I just wanted to share some of the tips that I learned this summer when I was working on decluttering my physical space. In this episode, we're talking specifically about physical decluttering as far as, just that stuff that fills up our home or our office or wherever. In later videos, we'll talk about like emotional and spiritual decluttering. But today is about the physical. So a lot of people when I was reading different books or things or listening to people talk about decluttering would say like focus on one room at a time. Now, that may work for some people. It did not work for me at all, not even one little bit. Because when I would try to focus on one room at a time, what I would do, I would go through and clear out the one room, but then I found I was just a lot of stuff ended up moving into other rooms. So I was making the one room would be clear, but the rest of the home would be more cluttered. And so I had like storage bin for giveaway, storage bin for throwaway, storage bin, for recycling, things like that. But it was still stuff if I felt like I was moving the same crap all around my house, all around my house. And so finally I realized what worked better for me. Instead of focusing on one room at a time, just focus on one thing at a time. And what I mean by that is like one day I say clothes. So I'm just gonna work on clothes all day. I live alone, so I use more than just my bedroom closet, and I also have storage in the basement where I usually keep my clothes that are out of season. So on those days that I'm working on clothes that are regardless of where they are. I may start on the clothes in the bedroom, but then I'm working on the clothes in my office closet. Then I'm pulling up the clothes that I have in the storage and going through those and just working on clothes the whole time. Then I have a day where I go through books, and I have to be honest, I didn't get rid of as many books as I had hoped. I literally have like 400. It's kind of ridiculous, but books are kind of my thing. And so I think after it was all said and done and I went through everything 2 or 3 times, I probably ended up giving away about 13 of them. But it's hard for me to part with books because I read so much and then I reread a lot of stuff that I've already read. And then I was going through, well, let me just get rid of everything I've already read that I know I'm not going to read again. 13. So, yeah, I still have to work on that. But I said, I'm not going to dwell on it. I'll just move on to other things and focus on that for the moment. So, um, my dad and my grandfather were both complete and utter pack rats. That's where I get it from, although mine is not that bad as theirs per se, but they just had a lot more years on me to accumulate things, I think. So, papers, going through the papers alone took me a good week. I had to find the stuff to be shredded. And at first, I have like 2 little office shredders. I was trying to shred on my own. And I'm like, if I do this, I'll never be done. And I actually was able to find a recycling place not too far from me that had like a big, huge commercial like sweater shredder, and you could just take the papers out and put them on a conveyor belt, and it would go down and it was shredded for you. So all I had to do was fill my storage bin with that. I think I had to make 2 trips, and the shredding took under 30 minutes. So that was awesome. Also at the recycling place, they took old electronics and things like that. So I was able to donate like some of my dad's old computers that no longer worked, that were way outdated and no longer used. Um, they also, of course, take cardboard and things like that. And I was also able to get rid of my medications, which was awesome because I used to like try to collect coffee grounds to mash all my different pills in. Now, the past few years, I've been really, really sickly. I literally had 2 dozen bottles of different prescription meds that I started taking, or I never finished the bottle, once I got healthy and my new doctor took me off or whatever. So, but the thing is, I don't really drink coffee. So I never really remembered to get anybody else's used coffee grounds. So that was kind of the thing for me. I think I mashed up a few bottles, but I still had a ton more. But the recycling place actually would take your prescription medications. All you had to do was empty them all into Ziploc bag and not label them. So I was able to get rid of all my medications, which was huge because it cleared up a lot of space in my kitchen cabinets. Another day I did dishes. I went through all my dishes, anything I had not used, or some stuff I plan on using, I just forgot I had. That's why I hadn't used it. So I pulled some of that stuff out, but clearing away all the dishes and pots and pans that I wasn't using, helpful because it made me bring some of the things that I do want to use to the front. Like, for example, my dad had a whole cast iron set. I didn't even know because it was like pushed back in the pantry closet. And I remember it from when I first moved in here and then forgot. So I forgot it was there. I love cast iron, love to cook in cast iron. Would have been using that had I remembered. So getting rid of a lot of my cheaper pots and pans that I had, or he had, or my grandfather had, made room for me to just kind of keep the essentials, the stuff, the pots and pans that I love, and the same thing with the dishes and the cups and the silverware. So a lot of those I gave to Salvation Army, which I gave a lot of my clothes to Salvation Army. I have like a Ford Escape, and I was able to load it 3 times, and that's with the seats down in the back and whole back seat filled. Sometimes the front passenger seat was filled too. But I was able to load that 3 times with all the stuff that I got rid of. And that doesn't even include all the stuff that I trashed or took to the recycling place. So I'm really glad about that. The recycling place also took old paint. My dad had a few paint cans I had down in the storage closet. I was able to get rid of those. So yeah, for me, it works so much better to just focus on one thing at a time. So clothes actually took a few days. Dishes and pots and pans one day. The papers took several days, but that was literally all I did was paper. And then I worked on like all the body stuff for the lotions, makeup, and hair care products. A lot of my hair care products I had in the closet, stuff I wasn't even using. Most of it was expired, so it all got trashed anyway. So yeah, it was really, really good. And I found that was way more beneficial to me to just focus on one thing at a time, or decluttering one project, so to speak, at a time, as opposed to decluttering one room at a time. So hope that helps if any of you guys are like me and, struggled with the whole one room at a time thing. I also did like all the towels and washcloths one day, and only kept like the really good ones that looked newer, none of my dad's older stuff, sheets and towels, all that same thing. So I got rid of a lot of that. I still have more to go, but I feel like now that the bulk of it is out, I have a lot more room to kind of slowly process, go through other things. My office is kind of getting cluttered again because I have a bad habit of grabbing all my mail and throwing it on the desk and not really opening it right away. So that is beginning to pile up. And so that is my goal for tomorrow, which is Monday, the 8th, is to do all the paperwork in my office again. And most of it is just mail that I have to go through and probably shred a lot of. So, in addition to that, we'll talk more about emotional clutter next week, but usually physical clutter is kind of a byproduct of emotional clutter. Like when you feel stressed or anxious and have a lot of stuff going on, it can sometimes reflect itself in your surroundings and you may not even realize it. So that will be what our topic is next week. We're supposed to have a guest. I have a lady scheduled for the 13th. She'll come on and talk about some of the stuff she does. So see you guys next week, and I hope everyone has an awesome week.